Welcome back, ladies and gents. Happy President's Day for you all in the States. You should be all at home chilling out, not trading. The market is down a pool of liquidity. What do we mean by that? Well, it means that the US session itself is pretty light across the board. All the fat cats are currently at home enjoying themselves, getting ready to start the week. And we do have a very interesting week with the FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday. So tomorrow, New York will be back with vengeance. Historically, when New York comes back from a holiday, there's usually a bit of a sell-off, ladies and gents. But we'll worry about that tomorrow. Firstly, what is good, ladies and gents? I hope everyone's doing well. Bitcoin. They've got Bitcoin. Now they want ETH. Speculations are starting to rise on the idea that a spot ETF for Ethereum could happen as soon as May. Now, good old Gary the Egg has decided to say that Bitcoin was always going to be the ETF that gets followed through. And he's not so positive about the Ethereum one. But he wasn't positive about the Bitcoin one in the first place. Just goes to show now that BlackRock really does have influence. That's my opinion. Like I've said to you all before, I think that this ETF now has become the biggest heist in cryptocurrency, and it's all happening underneath our noses. So if you agree with me, give me a hoorah in the comment section, that is. If you can spell it nicely, properly. I don't even know how to spell it, but there are various ways to say it. To all my guys, to all the Marines and all the top boys out there, mad love to all of you. And I'm from the UK, man, but I do have a military background. My father was in the army. It wasn't exactly the greatest army. It was the Cypriot army, but hey, you know how it is. Back in the day, it was different, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. But mad love to all the top guys out there putting it down. Now, today, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to dive into this ETF story about Ethereum. But I'm also going to be diving into a couple of market maker transactions. Market makers that we know of, or participants that are really stacked up with cryptocurrency liquidity. And where's that money going right now? Okay. We're also going to be talking about how Japan is going to be authorizing venture capitalists to start diving into Web3 ventures. That's kind of good news because Japan wants to put their mark on this cryptocurrency platform. UK sat worrying about other boring things and trying to block everyone from trading cryptocurrency. I'm not even going to get into that, man. UK trying to become a hub for this cryptocurrency story, and now they're blocking everything across the board. But yet there's bingo still being advertised on TV and gambling on football and all that, but they won't let us touch any cryptocurrency. Anyways, I hope you're all well this afternoon. Let's have a conversation, guys. Let's get with the program. Here we go. So, what do we have? Well, before we hit the charts, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get into this story right now about ETH. Yes, my thumbnail is a representation of the fat cats that are looking to start diving into this potential listing of an Ethereum ETF. We already know fat cats are gunning for cryptocurrency. BlackRock's already picked up 100,000 Bitcoin, and I'm saying it here, and I don't care whatever happens. BlackRock will surpass MicroStrategy in Bitcoin holdings. That is what I believe is going to happen, okay? With the amount of volume that BlackRock's starting to roll in with and picking up cryptocurrency, clear as day that there is an interest, even though they're trying to talk it down that there isn't. We've got to understand that if BlackRock touches something, they're going to try and take as much of it as they can. And what better way or what better asset for us to look into other than Bitcoin, now Ethereum, okay? So the article goes on to talk about it, that it's the institutional darling. We scroll down into the article itself and it says there's a 50% chance that ETF could be approved by as soon as May. Now, will we get the same hype that we have had with Bitcoin and the ETF? You see, Bitcoin was the passport. It was the entry level for the ETF. Now, we've already got ETFs for Ethereum, and I'll look at those very, very shortly. But the spot ETF for Ethereum, the things you've got to take into consideration are it's cheaper, much cheaper than Bitcoin's current price, that is. So Bitcoin, 50,000. Even at the time when Bitcoin's ETF got approved, it spiked to around 49,000, okay? But Ethereum, it's not really expensive at all. So we're probably going to see more volume going into Ethereum, but the same token, Ethereum is way more volatile than Bitcoin, in my opinion. I personally think it trades better than Bitcoin because Bitcoin likes to consolidate too much and then it makes a move and then it comes back down. But progressively, I think out of the two, if I were to choose to trade, it would have to be Ethereum rather than Bitcoin. It's just Bitcoin it's just one of those assets, man. It's a bit of a nut job. But Ethereum, it likes to make moves, okay? So we want to exploit that, all right? So this is what it's talking about, just saying that it could get approved in the US, which naturally is going to give people access to buying it, hopefully overseas, all right? So we know that this pending spot ETF for Ethereum is on the cards. We quickly go over to Ethereum's price action right now, and you can see Ethereum is pulling back down. Now, come on, guys. Come on. We want a little bit of a pullback, okay? You can't just always be out on, taking liquidity, borrowing. Look at this, man. Open interest is phenomenal right now. Market maker has got his liquidity trapped on retail. I mean, we do have a little bit of pool of liquidity over here at 53,000 for Bitcoin. And even on Bitcoin itself, look, we've got this whole gap right here. We've got lots of 100x traders stepping in. And those guys who have been going long over the weekend and prior to it, they're probably going to pay the price right now because Bitcoin is way overdue for a retrace, ladies and gentlemen. That's the truth right there. It needs to retrace to make it happy, to make it healthy. And now what we got right here, actually, let me just change this up for a split second because I've got to go back into my settings. Got to change that up to crypto. The psychological levels for Bitcoin. Now, I released a video over the weekend for the Platinum members and the Gold members, which was the weekly review on cryptocurrency and the assets that we trade throughout the week, okay? And it was a clear breakdown on how to really understand the importance of the psychological ranges, okay? Now, at the start of every trading week, we always pay attention to Monday because Monday is where we can assume the false move begins at the start of the week, all right? Now, what I look for are these two lines right here. Some of you might think, they're just basic lines. Well, they are the first high and the first low that forms at the start of a new trading week. Some of you might understand it to be the opening range for the week. Now, the opening range for the week is very important because it assumes that we understand that the market maker is building positions inside of this zone. And what those positions are, we will never know. But based on the way they behave around these zones, it's going to give us the heads up on how likely they're favoring higher prices from the psychological range or they're favoring lower prices from the psychological range. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you can see Bitcoin right now is pulling back, okay? And the idea is that if Bitcoin pulls back and stays inside of the psychological range right here, technically you should not be trading Bitcoin because you're stuck in a range. Now, scalpers, I can appreciate that you're going to try and exploit a little bit of movement, okay? But look how much information you get when you are trading an asset that is away from the psychological range. Look at Ethereum. Even if you were to come to Ethereum on the idea that it's away from the psychological ranges, you look at it and say, okay, we've had a very big move away from the psychological range. Logic would say that at some point this week, they're going to want to bring price back down towards this zone. And that could be the case. Why? Because this week, guys, we've got FOMC minutes coming out. China's back to business. China's stepping back into the marketplace. We've also got Euro flash manufacturing data, which is going to have an impression on the dollar dominance as well. So we're going to see what the flavor is over there. We've also got the USD unemployment claims and the flash manufacturing sector for the US dollar itself. So it's a week packed with good old information. But the FOMC minutes is going to highlight whether there is scope for them to actually cut the interest rates sooner. Now, I'm going to touch up on something for anybody that's involved in stocks, just to deliver my idea of what could be happening going into the future in relation to the actual Feds cutting the interest rates. Check this out. This is called the stock-bond ratio, all right? Now, the stock-bond ratio tells us how overvalued or undervalued assets are across the board, all right? Now, when stocks are overvalued, it means that the bonds markets themselves are very, very cheap. Now, if you remember, not so long ago, I shared an article that corporate bond buyers are stepping in right now to try and lock in significantly high yields on their capital. Because if the dollar actually rises, or should I say, if the bonds keep on dropping and the yields continue to rise, then we've got this problem. Look at the yields. Right now, you can get 4.6% on a 2-year bond, all right? That's great news. It's even worse news when the 10-year bond itself is actually cheaper than the 2-year. So that means you get more money, locking it with the government for a shorter period of time than you do locking it for a longer period of time. That doesn't serve the US government. It doesn't help them. Why? Because they want to hold the capital for longer so they can put it to work for longer. That's where the 10-year comes in. But because the 2-year is effectively earning more money for investors than what the 10-year is, we have ourselves yield inversion. That's a problem. That tells us that the longer term of the economy or investors' view of the economy is not actually good. I'm not going to lock my money up for a 10-year bond to only pick up 4.2 when I can go and get a 2-year and pick up 4.6. You may have heard me talk about this before, but it's very important that we understand it. Why? Because then we can understand where the big money is going to be going. If stocks are overvalued right now and bonds are pretty much undervalued, then that will tell me that they're going to start pulling money away from the stock market. And if they're pulling money away from the stock market, that only means what? Wall Street will behave like Wall Street. That means our good old dearly beloved ETF in principle should be pulling back, which means Bitcoin should be pulling back, which means crypto is effectively pulling back, with the exception of all sorts of other assets like Matic smashing it. Okay? Having that concept in the back of your mind is going to really help you add weight to whether you should take a specific trade or buy a specific asset. Now, this week, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the daddy of market movers. I would say this is more significant than the FOMC minutes itself. Check this out. This week, we have good old Nvidia declaring its earnings. Where is it? Is it Friday or Wednesday? What day was it? Nvidia, there you go. At the close of the market. Beautiful timing, isn't it? FOMC on the Wednesday, then Nvidia declares its earnings in the close of the market session. So whatever the FOMC states, whether it's good news or bad news, we're going to see volatility, all right? Whatever happens in the FOMC, in my opinion, will be preparing price for Nvidia's news announcements or the earnings. If they hit their expectations and smash it out of the park, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's only going to do what? It's only going to plow money into the marketplace. It's already surpassed Amazon in market cap. Like, come on, all right? You've got Nvidia holding more market cap than Bitcoin itself, okay? And Nvidia hasn't really been on the market too long, to be honest with you. Where is it? Let me get my chart up for the Nvidias. I believe it has been on the stock market for quite some time. Surely it has. I know it has. Here we go. Let me just bring up the stock price for Nvidia. Here we are. Nvidia. There we go. All right, then. So, monthly. Yeah, it's been around for quite some time. Forgive me for that. I don't know what else I was thinking about. But yeah, my projection for $1,000 Nvidia, I'm still holding on to that. Nvidia to hit $1,000 all day, every day. And this news announcement that's going to come out, boy. And here is an example of what I was talking about, how you want to see accelerated earnings. Check this out. This was a negative reading in the quarter end of April 2023. It was minus, but then it jumped to 101% on the sales. Then the October end 31st, 2023, it's gone to 206. The only next reading that comes out, if it's anything above 206, that would be the criteria for accelerated earnings, quarter on quarter. Sales, sorry. That is what you want to be looking at because it means that the business is being consumed. They're helping, they're serving, people are using their product. Forget what it is they do. Take the dynamics of the service product problem that is being solved by Nvidia. Demand is being created. They have the supply and people are just grabbing onto whatever it is that Nvidia is supplying. We know they supply graphics cards and processing units, data mining and all of that stuff, okay? So you can see that the service is being consumed. That's good news. So for the stock investor, just keep an eye out on that. You might think you've missed out on the bubble for Nvidia, but there will be some form of profit taking, and you can see it trade sideways when this usually happens before a news announcement. Some profits have been taken on Nvidia, and we're going to see what the likelihood of it continuing higher is going to be like when we see the news announcements itself. Now, before we get into Bitcoin price action, I just want to talk to you about this. So Japan seeks to allow certain venture capitalists to invest directly in crypto and Web3 startups. Okay, what does that mean? Well, venture capitalists, guys with lots of cash, are going to turn around and say, right, I like that company. What's your purpose? Let's speak to them. What can you guys do? What is it that you offer? I've got a bit of cash flow, and I want to chuck it to you. I want my cut X, Y, and Z. Cool. So what is a list of companies that these guys could effectively be allowing venture capitalists to step into? So we've got this right here, Web3 companies, all right? Because that's what the article goes on to discuss. It says it's going to allow to invest directly in crypto. So you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum, but you can also invest into Web3 startups. Now, that could be Web3 startups that are due to come into play, or that could already be startups that already exist right now that have just recently coming on. But you can see where we are. We got Chainlink, Polkadot, Internet Computer, Stacks, Injective, Filecoin, Render, Graph. This is a list of the tokens that these guys could effectively get interest from Japanese venture capitalists. Does that mean you just quickly go and buy whatever you want from here? Not necessarily, ladies and gentlemen, but for example, Fetch AI. I've always been shouting about Fetch AI. That bad boy's now at nearly $1. That is happy days right there. Nervous Network, same story. Casper, I mean, basic attention token. I'm surprised that thing isn't going up anymore. But this is a list of some stock cryptocurrencies. Now, the due diligence behind it is you really want to be going for the bigger market caps. But if these guys are going to be allowed to invest in these companies, what do you think they're going to be looking for? Remember, not so long ago, I was talking about the idea of looking at a cryptocurrency from the perspective of what the company is. Who is running it? What's the story behind it? You can, at basic entry level, look at the developers, all right? Look at its market cap. Look at the coin itself. Go onto its Twitter. How many followers has it got? Look at all the guys who are holders of this. Does it look like there's a rug pull coming into play? Is there one single guy holding this coin, all right? I think that's the basic entry level stuff. You should be doing that anyway when you're looking into cryptocurrency assets, regardless. But when you start doing a deep dive into these companies, go in, look on LinkedIn. Who are these guys? You can find that information out. You can see who they've worked at, who they've worked with before. What companies have they left? Who are the developers? Now, this is where the developing bit comes in. You can look at the developers and see who are the developers. Where have they come from? All right. How often have those guys left previous companies? Because that really does help. Because if you've got a developer that's always jumping from one asset to another, that doesn't mean the asset that he's jumping from is bad. It just means that he just doesn't like working in the same place at the same time. It's no different to when you go and someone goes for a job interview and they look at the CV and they say, yo, man, how come you've got so many different jobs? You're not even there for less than 6 months. How can I rely on you kind of story, okay? But try and look at it from the same perspective that you would when you are researching about stocks, okay? To the best of your ability. How much, what's there every day? Go on the website, dive into it, because the easily accessible information that you can get about these companies, okay, is there for you and it is for free, okay? Cool. Then you start to think, okay, everyone's got this information. How about I go start diving into things that people who would be getting this free information wouldn't be doing, all right? So then that's where you would dive into it. Like, for example, let's go to Injective for giggles right now. We'll go onto the website, all right? I like the way the website is built. Cool. Create best-in-class financial apps. Fine. All right, discover the ecosystems. Okay, we can do a little bit of homework on that. I'm scrolling all the way down here. Okay, then. So what can I see in regards to this? Well, we can start looking at the developers, which they give us, the institutions behind it, okay, the about, the careers, the blog, okay. So what are they talking about in the blog? What can I get from terms of careers right now? Who are they trying to employ? That means there's, of course, development happening. Things might actually be expanding for this asset, right? Meme marketing master. Meme marketing master. Wow. That is crazy. So engineering, there's more offers there. Business development. So there's growth. They want people to step in. There's growth. Engineering. So there's a lot of people that they require, or they require intelligence to expand on what it is they're trying to do with Injective. Marketing, don't really spending too much on that, but meme marketing master, what could we get from that? Product manager, on-site, remote, New York, remote, US, okay, not really fussed about that. Security, okay, fine. I'm paying attention to business development, engineering. So they're building, something's developing inside of here. That could be in line with their white paper. It could be in line with their daily up-to-dates with certain Twitter notifications. You can find this information. And you know what, right? There is nothing actually stopping anyone who has this sort of criteria, all right? Communicate and ask questions. Why do you need a blockchain engineer? What's this story about infrastructure engineer? What can you tell me about that? You can't tell me that you can't communicate with them. Even if you don't have the qualifications, and even if you do, right? Go and ask the question. You can apply to it and just chuck a question to them about the company. I'm looking to invest X amount. I know you can't give me financial advice or whatever. Can you please explain to me why there's so many engineers? What don't you have in the company already that's got you to the position that you are right now? You've got to ask the questions behind it, all right? Because the problem with cryptocurrency is someone sees a new cryptocurrency. If it's got 3 colors that they like, they'll buy it. These guys want a mean marketing master. That pretty much sums up the type of investor that could be coming into the game of crypto, okay? But you would be a little bit more savvy than that and think, you know what, I'm going to try and dive into this a little bit more. Just ask the question. Do the deep dive before you start buying your assets, before you start loading up. Because it's easy to just come on here and be like, okay, what have I got here? Market cap, yeah, baby. Okay, not that much of a supply. That's awesome. Okay, cool. What's Twitter saying? And what are these guys saying about it? Perfect work near dollar. Okay, cool. What's this guy saying about injective and near holder secure gains in the past week? Wow, okay, they do that. Across 450 million on-chain transactions, 500 million in loading. Cool, I'm buying. No, don't do that. All right? Because you'll never come to a definitive decision based on the amount of work that you have done. There's nothing to say that whatever research you do about it, even if you come to a solid question and say, yep, you know what, I'm happy with this information, I'm going to invest, there's no guarantee it's going to work because we need to understand the bigger picture of what's going on in crypto. Right now, it looks like everything's going up, okay? Now, with this asset being at $37, it's taken a little bit of a pullback. We look at the whole chart itself. Yeah, we are trading at significant highs right now. Maybe a little bit of a pullback across the board could be happening. Granted, Bitcoin dominance, where are we at with that? Bitcoin dominance right now is okay. It's been pulling back. So altcoins have seen the benefit of that bad boy. You got HBAR smacking price up to the upside and taking our 10 cents target, which we've been waiting for it to take. Actually, has it already taken it before? No, they haven't taken our target. And they've actually, yeah, they took it before previously over here in January. And then they've gone for it one more time. Happy days right there. And then, of course, what else did we have? Jasmy coin. She's been going crazy. Smack to the upside. Happy days right there. So we can safely assume that altcoins are doing their flavor and Bitcoin's pulling back ever so slightly. Okay. Now, again, before we get into BTC price action, guys, the markets are pretty quiet, man. So don't worry about Bitcoin's price. But here's what I wanted to talk to you about earlier on. Top market maker transactions. Okay. So it's excluding USDT, USDC, TUSD, and BUSD. I don't care about those currency pairs like USDT. I'm not interested. I want to know what these guys are doing. So Wintermute, we go into Wintermute, and they've made a deposit into Binance of Matic at 128,000, which is 128,000 Matic. We can then go and correlate the idea and say to ourselves, okay then, so where's Matic right now? Yeah, baby. Let's just do this. Yeah, baby, look at that. It's been moving up. Yeah, man, I'm going to be buying Matic. Let me just get rid of these little sessions here just to make life easier for us. Happy days. Yeah, so Matic's been climbing up. All right, that would sit right with this guy right here looking to put this into Binance 3 minutes ago. And Wintermute has been pretty busy as of late. 5 minutes ago, he loaded up 6,000 link in there. And then, of course, deposit Binance. He's gone and put DYDX. Okay, and then another Binance deposit, which is 84 ETH, 245,000. So from just by understanding this market maker with a handsome sum of, wow, okay? So a very nice amount of liquidity sat in this Wintermute entity, as you would put it, all right? They're trying to do something, probably try and take some profits after these significant moves to the upside. That sort of information, you can look at it and say, okay, cool, I'm going to base my decisions off this. But remember, these guys are moving money from one point to the next. But what we're seeing is Matic, Link, and DYDX, ETH, they've all made significant moves to the upside. It would only make sense that they're probably looking to take some profits. But we make that assumption that they're depositing to Binance to effectively find liquidity to sell. We don't know if they're depositing to Binance to go and move it elsewhere, all right? So we won't know fully, but the general consensus is that they're going to be looking to seek liquidity, okay, to look for a sell. All right. Going into this one over here, venture capitalist funds. Now, going into this story here with Japan seeking to allow certain venture capitalists to invest directly in crypto and Web3 startups, we then go and take this idea and say to ourselves, okay, then so what are VC funds doing right now? All right, and we can see what is actually happening. I hope you can see it. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see what's going on. Now, it is all USDT and what have you, but just having a look at where it's coming from and where it's going to is going to give you a little bit of an insight into what these guys could actually be doing. And what I'm seeing is a lot of Matic. Okay, so we've got like an Ava, sorry. So there's things happening with venture capitalists over the last 7 hours, 9 hours, and 1 day. How to make sense of it and make it as trading opportunities, it's something that you need to do as an example that I talk about on Exo charts. You can look at the individual orders, but you're better off looking at the chart across so you can get a good idea for how investors are or traders are coming in at specific price points to gauge the idea of what price is likely to do from one spot to the next. Okay? So, with that being said, quickly going over to the Glassnode just before we get into Bitcoin, because that's exactly what we're getting into right about now. We've got this Bitcoin net unrealized profit and losses. These guys are in belief. It's ready for the all-time high, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we're on our way towards it. How excitable are you all? Are you excited? How excited are you about the all-time high? Remember, when the all-time high hits, we know that's where they're selling from, okay? Remember, the all-time high that hit last time, 67,000, 69,000. Why did it turn from that point? People weren't selling anymore. There was no one to sell to. So let's buy it all back up and spend a whole year and a bit buying it all, which is why people are coming out with the logic that there's going to be some crazy price projections for Bitcoin, and that surpassing the 69,000 is probably going to be on the cards. What do you think? All right. I want you guys to put dates right now. In terms of months, right? How soon do you think Bitcoin can hit the all-time high? Because Bitcoin's all-time high is not too far away. All right? Oh, God. All-time high, bruv. Like, let's look at it from an ADR perspective. Going to the daily open, Bitcoin is only 33% away from its all-time high. All right? And I believe there are two events that would etch into that all-time high, okay? FOMC meetings come out, and they say that they're going to cut the interest rates sooner, which I don't think is going to be the case because inflation has ticked up. They're not happy about that. That would actually be a bit of a problem for Bitcoin. Why? Because they'll be pulling money from the investments, okay? FOMC minutes says something positive, the market will just go crazy. Nvidia smashes its expectations, the market will go crazy. So Thursday is going to be a wild day, in my opinion, in the marketplace. Coupled with all this information that's due to come out, all right? It's going to be a smack attack out there. I'm telling you now. But I would say that we're going to eat into this 33%. 3? It is the magic number. Got a couple of comments here. Here we go. This is your market maker, Steve. The deal for today is if we don't get 1,400 likes, I liquidate you all. Show some... Dude, man. Okay, so, yes, by demand of RTB, if we can get the likes to 1,500, I'll start looking at a few altcoins as well, and then I'll let you guys continue about your day, all right? Because it is President's Day. You should be with your families. You should be enjoying yourselves. But hoorah. You know? Anyways, okay. So, let's just have a look at where we are in terms of volume. Look, guys, it's a dead day. Don't trade. All right? Now, if you're already in trades, that's different. If you've been holding on to it, today's going to be a reasonable day for you. Why? Because the market doesn't really have the volume. Okay, just look over here. Bitcoin and Ethereum, unusual volume. 82, 35, 10 million, 67, 42, 118. Right now, guys, the market in principle is open, all right? The futures market should be open. You can tell already it's a dead day. You only need to go over to the NASDAQ and the S&P. NASDAQ is holding out over here, right? Not really doing much. I mean, this is the 12-hour chart. So if we just go over to the 5-minute time frame to put things into perspective, You can see it's moving very, very slowly. Is prone to volatility. Don't get twisted. And if you are down with that volatility game, then no problem. There's nothing stopping you from trading it. But of course, trade when the markets are fully open, man, because then you're going to start your week off pretty. If you don't make money today on your trades, you're going to then play catch up throughout the rest of the week. And then you'll be compelled to trade during FOMC where you can get slapped. I mean, if you're down for that slapping behavior, that's a different story. But try and, keep your options. Make life easier for yourself. It's hard enough trying to trade this game. When you're down a pool of liquidity, yes, volatility is there, liquidity is not. So you got to make sure you're picking your spots, man. Yeah, I know it's not a real day, but the markets are closed, bro. Like that's it. That's how it is. It's George Washington's birthday. Yes, I know. They've changed it to President's Day. Yes. Made some money in the weekend, but gave it back today. No. Anyways, man. Okay. Sold my apartment. All right, then. Yes, I'm rested. That's one thing for sure. Well, I'm not really rested, man. It's been a bit of a trying weekend, to say the least. But yeah. All right, then. So, Bitcoin. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of order flow, and then we'll make sense of the madness that's unfolding. So here we go, guys. But that information, man, regarding, looking for altcoins and what have you, this market maker stuff right here, try and utilize it to the best possibility you can. We know miners are actually still selling, but not as aggressively. But this is a perfect spot for them to be selling, all right, to pick up that cryptocurrency, all right? Quickly just going over to the Bitcoin ETF. I just want to understand where we are in regards to that, and I'll show you the ETH one. Here is the ETH ETF, which, if we look at it, we can then say to ourselves, all right, ProShares ETF, what does that tell me? It's quite choppy. Doesn't have that much volume, not much volume. But then again, this is a synthetic fund. Please understand this. This is synthetic, means it's relying on the idea of Ethereum moving up and down. Although it's $64, it has seen some good volatility, all right? So mark my words, Bitcoin's ETF, Spot ETF, will go to 64 and more. That's my price projection for the ETF in the 60s. That's what I'm looking for. Because the demand is there's too much of a demand for it. The fundamentals of the ETF or the Spot ETF means it's a physical ETF. They have to buy the Bitcoin. That's a win-win two ways. Win-win for Bitcoin's price, win-win for its supply. It's being taken. Like I said, I believe that cryptocurrency is now experiencing the most legitimate heist on earth, with BlackRock swiping in and buying up as much cryptocurrency as possible. Just pay attention to it. Going into Bitcoin's ETF, just have a look at the volume. Here we go, 17 million. Nice. Beautiful amount of volume. So we know the liquidity is there. So anyone that is new to crypto and they're reluctant to get involved in this, you've got volume there. All right? The volume is there, and it can be a little bit volatile. That's the nature of it. But look at this, man. It's $30 nearly. Nah, man, that thing's going up. In my opinion, I believe it is going to go up. Okay? Now, can you look at Jasmy? I'll have a look at Jasmy. 2 seconds. 18% up. Altcoin that's made such a significant move like this, there's always going to be profit-taking opportunities. What I advise that you do is look on the 15-minute time frame and just take off the midpoints of the vector candle, which you can see top side right there. I'll go down into, top side right here from the vector candle, the green vector. I want the candlestick itself. Ignoring the wicks just right now because I just like the idea of just long vector. I could take the wicks, but I'll do the wick for consistency to make it easier. Don't want people thinking something's changed. So we'll just go into that. Here we go. So that's the midpoint right now of this green vector candle where things seem to be lightening up. What we want to really be looking at is how likely it's going to come back down into the midpoint of this whole move, which if we look at it on the hourly, you've got the vector point right there. Just go into the daily time frame. And what you should do is at the end of today, right, wherever Jasmy ends up, right, this is where you take the actual candlestick to the candlestick. Ignore the wick. Because if I take the wick now and I go into the candlestick, I don't have really a midpoint of the candlestick now, do I? I've got this whole green vector. You can't say to me that that there is statistically, or in terms of measurements, that is the midpoint of the candle. But I want a representation of the impression of vectors. What's inside of here? I want to know the true point to that. So I'm going to go down into this bit right here. And I'm going to say to myself, okay, this is what I need to be looking at. This is what would be deemed as the midpoint. So if they're going to roll up to today and come back down tomorrow, I could assume that there could be support happening inside of this zone. Okay, cool. Let's go into BTC. Now, Bitcoin, holding sideways, no big vectors coming into play. And like I said, I'm not going to try and encourage you all to take trades, but what I will warn you about is just be mindful. The liquidity is not there. It's getting choppy. It's not even away from its psychological range. We need to move away from the psychological range. Just looking at exo charts to put things into perspective for us, okay? Let me just look at this. Oh, man, yeah, NASDAQ ain't doing nothing. This is UK. This is UK. Ugh. Yeah, gap. Nah, not for me. No, thank you. I'll give that a skip. Let's have a look at BTC. All right, then. So this is Bitcoin. What do we have, ladies and gentlemen? And anyone that's been with me a little while, can someone say it in the comment section? Someone tell me, what do we have here on Bitcoin in regards to the VWAP? Please tell me what we have right here. Anyone going to say it? Got into a long yesterday. Okay. Yuck. Anyone going to say it? M pattern? No. Not an M pattern. Not an M pattern. Not a pattern. I'm looking for something about the VWAP, which pretty much tells you what the day could be like. Rotation by X25. Yes. What do we mean by rotation? Well, there are two ways that the VWAP can operate. Okay, now the VWAP is the volume weighted average price. And we're not talking about the other VWAP, you know. These jokes, man. Here is the VWAP. When price does up, down, or should I say, goes above it, comes down, goes above it, comes back, up and down, that, ladies and gentlemen, is rotation. It's consistent with position building. They're all just trading tight ranges, okay? Market makers work in spreads, right? But when you have this, and price is doing this, and continues, what do you have? You have trend. So is today really a day to trade? Now listen, you can trade. I'm not saying don't. What I'm saying is, don't put yourself in marginal positions. All right? Because if New York is closed or Wall Street ain't operating today, and these guys are gunning for the liquidity, and they're not there, how are you going to be making any bucks off their back? Now you can, nothing's stopping you. Just saying, improve the odds of a trade working in your favor when you've got liquidity in the markets. All right? You can see here, Bitcoin, rotation, not doing much. Here is the other VWAP. Look at that. We literally just drew that, okay? That, in principle, is sort of a trend in the one session. Trends away from it. Happy days. Goes back into it, above it, trends away from it, and then comes back in. Happy day starts a new session, okay? But you can see most of the time Bitcoin is in a trend, in a rotation on the VWAP. Here we go. Perfect. Look at that. We just drew that as an example, okay? We've just gone back in the chart and we're seeing the same thing happening over and over again. Why? Because the human nature doesn't change. The way they buy and sell Bitcoin doesn't change because people react exactly the same. Price has come to the downside right here and gone flat. People are like, oh my God, sell Bitcoin. Price has deviated away from the VWAP, which is this purple line. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that institutional investors, traders, what they like to do is they like to buy below the VWAP. Okay, and then they like to sell above the VWAP. We make reference to that all day, every day with the good old book map. Where's Bitcoin right now? By the courtesy of the book map. We zoom out, we can see Bitcoin is below the VWAP. Okay, so what can we assume? We can assume they're going to try and come up above the VWAP to go back into it. What kind of a trade day is that? Because it might not actually succeed to spending too much time above the VWAP. Just zooming out, we can see the profile is absolutely diabolical, ladies and gentlemen. Look at it. Where's the liquidity gone, man? These orders should be in the sums of 2, 3, 400s on a good day. Even on a day when we're waiting for FOMC, there's nothing there. Don't put yourself in opportunities. And guess what? I leave the live. Bitcoin goes on to make the wildest move. Guess what? Welcome to the marketplace. Welcome to uncertainty. But if you were to approach this way of trading and making sure that you only trade during the optimal times of day, you're improving the odds of you catching solid volatility, solid movement, and of course, a nice return on your trade. When you trade these sort of instances where Bitcoin burps and comes back down again, well, you're not interested in that, all right? You've got big news coming out this week. After Wednesday, it's going to be an easy day. Well, actually, quite frankly, tomorrow should be a free day of trading. Why? Because we don't have any news announcements. But China's back. We've got to absorb their information and all their good news, bad news. So tonight, China's going to do some interesting stuff in the markets. I'm telling you. Okay. Joshua. Semper Fi. Wicked, man. Semper Fi. Semper Fidelit. Sorry if I'm not saying it correctly. Always loyal. That's what it is. Always loyal. Forever loyal. Tell me I've got it right, man. I know it. I know it means forever loyal. Mad love to you, bro. Anyways. All right. Any questions? Any questions? Tino, do you jism? Bro, man. Man. I can't be reading these comments like that, bro. Why did I pick that one? Forgive me for that. Tino, people calling a flash dump. People calling for a flash dump. Across what? Across the stock market, cryptocurrency. Flash dump. Let's just put things into perspective here. Stock bond ratio. Stocks are so overvalued. Sorry. They are stupidly overvalued. Okay? If you remember a few live streams ago, we were talking about the stock market has currently, the NASDAQ stock, the average stock has got about 30% value locked into it. 30%. Where we've surpassed all-time highs and we keep on gunning for it. Where are we at now? Is Mara following Bitcoin dominance, Tino? Well, let me just go back to what I was talking about over here, okay? Where's investors' heads at? That's the question. Oh, my days. Dumb money, smart money, confidence is extremely optimistic. Oh, my God. This right here, when you've got this blue line marking up, it means smart money is starting to load up, okay? Right? When you've got this red line marking up, it means retail's taking it all. We've kind of got them both doing the same thing. So that means what? Retail doesn't care. Smart money is going to catch you out one way or another, okay? These are wild price points. Although we come up to this point over here, okay, when it last hit 88.88, smart money was able to load up a little bit more, okay? And so, should I say, sell into retailers, okay? And that's, excuse me, I'm losing it. That's where the confusion comes in. And that's where we get a problem as well when it comes to dollar yen. All right. Where's dollar yen? Dollar yen is pulling some very interesting things. It's currently in a level 2 move up to the upside. All right. So we're in a peak formation. We're at the 150 mark. That is not good for Japan. It's not good to have such a strong dollar against the yen. Okay. Frankie. My guy, Frankie Candles. Thank you very much, my bro. Mad love to you, my bro, man. We got to sort something out, man. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed that today. Mad love and respect. We'll be going live again tonight, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, all right? and I'll be checking out with you all. But just go and enjoy your days. Mad love for spending time with me today, and I'll be checking in with you all. How many times are you going to say the word checking? Just hit the like button on the way out. Mad love. Peace.